A pricing exception is still waiting on the founder. So is the vendor call and the hire approval. The budget shift, too. The work got delegated, but somehow, between the handoff and the decision, the team learned to wait. And now, every decision moves a little slower. That is the part worth paying attention to, because from the outside, this can look like a team that is not stepping up. They keep checking in. They keep asking for approval. They keep softening recommendations. They keep coming back with one more caveat. And the founder starts wondering why people will not just own the work. But often, the team is reading the system correctly. The founder wants people to step up. The team wants to step up, but every soft reopening teaches the same lesson. Recommendations need more caveats. Checking in before committing is safer. The real decision still lives upstairs. It sounds harmless in the moment. Let me think about that. Can we revisit this one? I want to loop in the board first. I'm not sure we should move yet. None of those phrases feel like a major system event, but the system is listening. And after a while, the team learns the pattern. They know who owns the work. They do not know who owns the call. And that difference matters. Because delegation is not just handing off activity. It is not just saying you own this project. It is not just assigning the task, the timeline, or the meeting. Real delegation includes the authority to finish the decision. If the team still needs the founder's reaction before they can close the call, the delegation did not fully land. The work moved. The decision's rights did not. And when that happens over and over, the team starts to hedge. Not because they're incapable, not because they lack judgment, not because they are avoiding responsibility, because the system taught them to. They bring options instead of recommendations. They add caveats before they commit. They use softer language. They say, "We're thinking about," or they say, "One possible path is," or they say, "We wanted to get your view before we move." And sometimes that is appropriate. Some decisions should come back to the founder. Some calls do need founder judgment. Some moments require board input, strategic context, or a broader view. That's not the problem. The problem is when nobody can tell the difference between the founder input and founder approval. So everything becomes a check-in. The pricing exception comes back, the vendor call comes back, the hire approval comes back, the budget shift comes back, and each time the founder may feel like they are being pulled into too much detail, but the team may feel like they're doing exactly what the system has taught them to do. That is hidden drag. The structure says the work is delegated, the behavior says the decision still belongs to the founder, and behavior always wins. Before your next check-in, ask what is actually being handed off. Is it the work, or is it the authority to finish the decision? Because those are not the same thing. A team can own the work and still not own the call. A leader can own the plan and still not own the trade-off. An operator can be responsible for execution and still need permission to close the decision that makes execution possible. That is where things slow down. Not because the team is lazy, not because the founder is trying to micromanage, but because the authority line is not clear enough for the system to move without another reaction from the top. Think about that last decision that came back to you, the last one that probably should not have needed you. Who on your team could have made that call? And what were they actually missing? Most of the time, it was not information, it was permission. Permission to accept the trade-off, permission to disappoint someone, permission to spend the budget, permission to say no. Permission to move without knowing whether the founder would reopen it later. And that last one is important, because every time a decision is softly reopened, the next delegation gets weaker. The team remembers. They remember the time they made the call and it got revisited. They remember the time they recommended a path and the founder wanted to keep thinking. They remember the time the work was theirs, but the final decision was not. So the next time, they protect themselves. They check in earlier, they bring more options, they wait a little longer, they avoid sounding too committed, and from the founder's seat it looks like hesitation. From the team seat, it feels like pattern recognition. They are not resisting ownership. They are responding to the way ownership has worked in the past. That is why the question is not just, why won't the team step up? The better question is, what has the system taught them happens when they do? If the answer is the call might get reopened, then the team is going to hedge. If the answer is the founder still needs to react before it's safe, then the team is going to wait. If the answer is authority is unclear when the decision gets uncomfortable, then the team is going to escalate. Again, that does not make them weak. It makes them observant. Most of the time, the team is not the problem. They are reading the system correctly, and the system is telling them the real decision still lives with the founder. So, if you are the founder, this is not about removing yourself from every decision, because that is just not realistic, and it's not always wise either. Your judgment matters. Your context matters. Your standards matter. The goal is not to disappear. The goal is to make it clear when your involvement is input, when it is approval, and when the decision has genuinely moved. That clarity changes the system. You can say, I want to be consulted, but you own the call. Or, I need to approve this one because the board impact is real. Or, you own the decision up to this budget threshold. Or, if you choose this path, I will not reopen it unless something material changes. Those sentences matter. They teach the team where the decision lives. They give people something to stand on. And they reduce the check-ins that only exist because nobody knows whether the handoff was real. If you are the operator, COO, chief of staff, or senior leader, this is where your diagnostic eye matters. The next time a call comes back to the founder, don't just solve it. Ask why it came back. Was the owner unclear? Was the trade-off too uncomfortable? Was the authority boundary missing? Was the founder's reaction still needed to make the call feel safe? Was there a history of similar decisions being reopened? That is the pattern. And once you can see the pattern, you can start to change the conversation. Not by blaming the founder, not by blaming the team, by naming the structure. The team owns the work, but I don't think they own the final call yet. That sentence can be very useful because it separates activity from authority. It shows why the work keeps moving slowly even when capable people are involved. The work scaled, the decision rights did not. And that is the real problem. It stays invisible because the work still moves, just slower, with more check-ins, more caveats, more soft recommendations, more founder reactions, more decisions that almost leave the founder's desk but somehow keep finding their way back. So before you treat the next check-in as a simple update, ask what it represents. Is this a useful founder touchpoint, or is it evidence that authority never fully transferred? Is the team asking for input, or are they asking for permission to close? Is the founder adding judgment, or accidentally reopening a call the team thought it owned? Those distinctions matter, because if the same types of decisions keep coming back to the founder, the issue is probably not effort. It is probably not capability. It is probably not communication volume. It may be that the system never told people where the decision lives when the call gets uncomfortable. And until that changes, every delegation gets softer. If this sounds familiar to you, I would not start by trying to fix every decision path in the company. Start with one decision that recently came back to the founder. One pricing exception, one vendor call, one hire approval, one budget shift, and ask what actually came back. Was it information? Was it judgment? Was it permission? Was it fear of reopening? Was it missing authority boundary? That is the kind of pattern the hidden drag diagnostic is built to surface. It takes about 7 to 10 minutes, and it helps identify whether one stuck priority is dealing with decision drag, alignment drag, structural drag, human drag, or some combination of those. The link is in the description. And if the diagnostic points to something material, something with real business cost, repeated founder involvement, unclear authority, or a priority that keeps slowing down even though capable people are involved, then that may be worth a closer review. And that's the kind of work I help founder-led teams do. clarify the decisions underneath the drag, name the trade-off, separate founder input from founder approval, define who owns the next call, and close the priority enough that the work can move without everything routing back upstairs. So start with the diagnostic, see what it surfaces, then decide whether it's something you can clean up internally or whether it's worth a priority review conversation. And if this was useful, subscribe for more short notes on decision closure, hidden drag, founder capacity, and operator overload. And if you know a founder, COO, Chief of Staff, President, GM, or Senior Operator who keeps seeing delegated work drift back into founder approval, share this with them. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, where I write daily about the hidden drag behind stuck priorities and the decisions that never quite leave the founder's desk. My name is Warren Winowski. Thanks for watching.